Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Good evening. Hello, I'm Christina Manthi. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Jefferson County, Colorado. The League thanks the Wheat Ridge Chamber of Commerce for co-sponsoring this event with the League. We also want to thank the City of Wheat Ridge for making this room available for tonight's event, and we especially want to thank the candidates for their participation in this forum for the Wheat Ridge City Council. The League's mission is to empower voters. We envision a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. We are proud to be nonpartisan. We neither support nor oppose candidates or political parties at any level of government, but we are always working on vital issues of concern to members and the public. The leaders we elect make decisions that affect us in our daily lives. Elections are our chance to stand up for what matters most to us and to have an impact on the issues that affect us, our communities, our families, and our future. Local elections in particular have a direct effect on our lives. The Wheat Ridge Chamber of Commerce representative Sean Pearman would like to say a few words now.
Good evening. I'm Sean Pearman, chairman of the board of the Wheat Ridge Chamber. Can you hear better? Sorry about that. Thank you to Mayor Starker, City Council, League of Women Voters, and candidates in the city for hosting this. We're pleased to be here. There's refreshments in the little breakout room in the back. Feel free to help yourself so we don't have to take them home. But the chamber provided those. Just a really quick note about the chamber. We're a relatively new chamber. About 2015 it got started. We have about over 100 members right now and growing quickly. We're excited to be helping businesses in the city be more successful. We're glad to help the city in any way we can. We're proud that Joe DeMott helped us put together a Wheat Ridge Chamber office and a visitor center, which is right at 38th and Teller. Hope you can stop by sometime. Check us out. We're here to help businesses in the city be better and more successful. So thank you very much again, League of Women Voters.
This forum will provide you, the voters, with the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates for the Wheat Ridge City Council. The goal of the forum is to present the views of the candidates for the Wheat Ridge City Council in a fair, nonpartisan setting so that you, the voters, can make an informed decision. All candidates whose names that appear on the ballot are present tonight and will be participating in this forum. The views expressed here will be those of the candidates, not the views of the Jefferson County League of Women Voters. The Jefferson County League of Women Voters has provided all of the questions for the candidates. The League takes no stand in support or opposition of candidates. Upon completion of the candidates portion of the evening, we will have a brief discussion of the state ballot issues. I do have a few housekeeping items to take care of. First of all, we must be out of the building by 8 o'clock. Please silence your cell phones. We want to hear the candidates, not the rings. For the candidates, please speak directly into the microphone, like you're talking to an ice cream cone. And please turn off your microphone when you're not using it. The candidates have the option to remove their mask, and they, of course, are expected to remove their mask when they're speaking. We'd like to see their faces on the camera. Now I'd like to introduce you to Robin Wallace, who is our moderator for this evening.
Okay, ice cream cone. Can you hear me? I'm Robin Wallace, and I'll be the moderator for tonight. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement to tell us about themselves and discuss why they want to be on the Wheat Ridge City Council. The candidates will also have 1 minute for closing comments. I'll ask as many questions as time permits, and each candidate will have the chance to respond to each question with a 2-minute limit per response. If a candidate is called into question, a 45-second rebuttal will be offered prior to the closing statement. The moderator will make the decision whether the rebuttal will be allowed. In the 2021 election, council positions for District 1, 2, 3, 4, and the mayoral position are being filled. However, only District 3 has a competitive race. Therefore, District 3 candidates will be asked the question first on a rotating basis. All candidates will answer each question after the District 3 candidates make their answers. Now let's meet the candidates. Bud Starker is the candidate for mayor. The candidate for District 1 is Janice Hoppy. The candidate for District 2 is Scott Ohm. The candidates for District 3 are Ihor Figlis and Amanda Weaver. And the candidate for District 4 is Leah Dozeman. All right, it's time for opening statements. Your opening statement should tell us about you and why you are running for city council. Ihor, you'll go first. I think you can all see our timekeeper here, so she'll keep you within the 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name is.
Take your mask off.
Oh, sorry. My name is Ihor Figlis. I've been living in Wheat Ridge, well, off and on for the last 50 years. My family first moved here 50 years ago. And although I've lived in other places as well, I've been here pretty much permanently for the last 11 years. And I think Wheat Ridge is a great place to live. It's peaceful, it has lots of green space. Location is great with easy access to Metropolitan City Center and the mountains, and shopping and entertainment districts, medical facilities, but it still has a semi-rural feel to it with nice cohesive communities that its residents really enjoy. We have varied and interesting architecture throughout the city. We have parks, festivals, access to open space such as Crown Hill and Clear Creek. People say that they come to Wheat Ridge because they can have a house with a yard in nice neighborhoods because it's a great place to raise a family, and they plan to stay for a long time. People have said that a couple generations ago, and they continue to say that today. Wheat Ridge has great character that I really enjoy. However, in recent times, the world has been closing in on Wheat Ridge. There are those who would like to profit from all this goodness, and in the process do much to ruin it. There are those who see all space as an opportunity for rampant development and pay little heed to the consequences of that development. And there are those who would say, okay, sure, why not? Doing that over there is fine. What they don't say is it's not okay in my backyard. Well, the whole city is full of somebody's backyard. That is why I'm running to be on city council. I think city council is not doing enough to protect and maintain the quality of life that we enjoy, and I want to work with other representatives to ensure that Wheat Ridge continues to be a great place to live.
Thank you, Ihor. Amanda? Keep an eye out for the 30 seconds, for the timer and everything. And again, you need to know why you're running for city council and a little bit about you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm an academic and a teacher of the urban environment and urban agriculture at CU Denver. I'm also a small business owner and your local farmer. I own 5 Fridges Farm in District 3. After I moved to Wheat Ridge in 2011, I was asked by a former council member to apply for Planning Commission. Then, in 2019, I received on-the-job education on how cities actually function day to day. I learned how a code, a zone, and a comprehensive plan create guidelines and security alike for residents. And I was struck by how this first step into government made such a difference, not only for the citizens impacted by the commission's work, but also how the participation of the citizens on the commission in turn impacted the local government. It forever changed how I understood the concept of participatory democracy. Planning Commission was also a gateway to my thinking about larger issues. How people live close together, how we welcome new residents, create affordable and accessible housing, or consider our impact as a community on the environment. So when the late District 3 Councilman Fitzgerald stepped down, I applied and was voted in by council midterm in 2019. I am running for re-election to continue the following priorities. First, common sense growth, the right density in the right places, so that Wheat Ridge can continue to grow and welcome diverse neighbors of all ages, income, and family situations. 2, green initiatives, whether it's your own yard, access to a park, green space, walking or bike lanes, or a community garden, everyone has the right to thrive. I will continue to support sustainable initiatives for Wheat Ridge businesses and neighbors. Third, local connections. I will continue to address neighborhood-level concerns in District 3. And lastly, public safety. I will continue to support a well-trained and community-involved police department. Thank you.
Thank you. Bud, you're next.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. And before I begin, I'd like to express my thanks to the League of Women Voters of Jefferson County, to the Wheat Ridge Chamber of Commerce for their sponsorship of this event, and for the citizens who are here tonight in the hall and joining us online. Thank you for being here. It's important that you listen to the candidates and be able to make an informed decision. I first moved to Wheat Ridge in 1975, moved into the house that I live in now. I've been a commercial building contractor for about 45 years. I retired at the end of the last year, and I built and operate a restaurant called West 29th Restaurant and Bar in eastern Wheat Ridge. I'm honored to have been elected in 2017 by the citizens of Wheat Ridge to serve in this position of mayor. I've lived around the world, in Europe and in the Middle East and the East Coast and and in Washington, D.C. area, and I've got to tell you that the city of Wheat Ridge is the best place that I've come across to be able to live and work and raise a family. We've got great facilities in our community and great citizens that live here. We have an active and a vibrant group of citizens. It's really been my pleasure to work with council. We've got a great city council and a great staff, and it's been my pleasure to work together cooperatively. Council has been thoughtful in its deliberations, it's been forward-thinking in its vision for the future, and it's been forceful in acting on behalf of its residents. As I look forward into the future, and there's so many great activities going on in Wheat Ridge, I would like to be able to continue as mayor. We've got a lot of irons in the fire, if you will, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Janice?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Janice Hoppy, and I moved to Wheat Ridge in 2011. My husband and I own 2 small businesses in the trade industry, and we also own commercial property on 38th Avenue. I've also served in local works leadership for 6 years. I was on the Wheat Ridge Business District for 10. I'm on the Jefferson County Economic Development Committee and the Jefferson County Coalition for Suicide Prevention and Awareness. It has been a pleasure to serve Wheat Ridge District 1 for the last 6 years. I was appointed into a 2-year term to replace Mr. Jerry DiTullio, and then I was re-elected in 2017 for my 4-year term. I'm honored and privileged to have been able to spend the last 6 years leading our community in a smart and safe way, and making sure that we are keeping our unique and scrappiness as a community, and then also being able to have a vibrant and diverse and inclusive community that can be economically strong and safe and offer opportunities for all members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. On to Scott, please.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the city for organizing this event. I've lived in the Wheat Ridge community since 2005 and have been on the Wheat Ridge Planning Commission for over 10 years, working with fellow commissioners, city staff, developers, citizens, and neighboring communities with transparency, accountability, and integrity. While on the Planning Commission, I was part of the process of approving the Clear Creek Crossing project that included the relocation of the SEL Health Hospital that has now opened other opportunities for the old hospital site. I have a daughter that attends Wheat Ridge High School and is on the high school soccer team. My son attends Everett Middle School. My wife and I both love to garden. I've been a small business owner in Wheat Ridge for over 12 years in District 2. As a professional landscape architect and a Planning Commission member, I understand the process of listening and making decisions based on the city's code through empathy and consensus. I am connected to my community, whether it's by talking to or helping my neighbors, riding my bike, or walking through the neighborhood with my family. I'm passionate about Wheat Ridge community. Making our neighborhood safe for cyclists and pedestrians as they access our parks, schools, homes, and businesses is a top priority. I will support measures that promote responsible and sustainable use of water through water conservation in our community. I look forward to the conversation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Leah?
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for being here and for watching and tuning in. I also want to thank the League of Women Voters, the Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Wheat Ridge for hosting this candidate forum so that we can better inform our public and they can get to know us. My name is Leah Dozman. I'm running for re-election for District 4. I first ran for office in Wheat Ridge in 2011 for city clerk. It was a four-way race, so running unopposed is a far cry from what I'm accustomed to. My 2017 race was also against 3 opponents. I'm a lifelong resident of Wheat Ridge. I work in the medical staff office at Lutheran Hospital. I am grateful to be raising my 2 sons in my childhood home. They attend Peak Expeditionary, which was formerly Pennington Elementary, which is actually why I decided to run in 2017. I was really disheartened that several of our neighborhood schools had been slated for closure or actually closed. So in 2016, when Pennington wound up on the Jeffco Board of Education's list to be closed, I knew that I had to do something. So I, along with other community members and families within the neighborhood, fought to keep our school open, and we narrowly did. I am happy to say that in the last 4 years, it has been a complete 180. We have had a new principal, a new curriculum, and the school is just amazing. I want to continue my efforts on council to support diverse housing and diverse businesses that attract young families so that we can continue to put students in our schools and support them in living in Wheat Ridge and creating a community that I've loved living in my entire life, and I love passing on those experiences to my children. Thank you.
All right. We're going to go on to the questions now. We'll be asking 4 questions tonight. You'll have 2 minutes to respond to each question. And rather than say the 4 names in a row, your names, I'll just do one at a time. So Amanda, you'll be the first responder. Here's the question. You can maybe think about it while other people are talking. If elected to the Wheat Ridge City Council, what recommendations, if any, would you want to see enacted to address the problem of homelessness in Wheat Ridge? All right. So, Amanda, that'll be...
Okay.
Yeah, you can start with your 2 minutes anytime.
All right, okay. I'm actually very proud of what we've done on council thus far about the homelessness issue, and it's a two-pronged approach that involves both police action as well as community action. And we have a homeless navigator, and that was a new position that was created in the last year. And that person goes out and makes liaisons with current homeless people in Wheat Ridge and helps them. Literally, the navigator is this concept of helping them find documents. One of the things that I learned about homelessness in this process is that oftentimes people who are homeless don't have access to the basic documents that they need to get services. And so this navigator helps with connecting homeless people with those services that they want. On the other side, we also have been working with our officers to deal with public safety in the median. And on our streets, as we all know in Wheat Ridge, that's also an issue of people being in the median and being on streets and also camping. Those are real issues as well. And so I feel like by both dealing with the issues of policing and the issues of helping and trying to connect people with those people who want service with service, we're really creating a full approach. Thank you.
Thank you. The next responder will be Ihor. Do you want me to repeat the question? You're good? Okay. Go on ahead.
I think that, obviously everybody here in Wheat Ridge is pretty much aware of the homeless situation because of all the people standing around on street corners that we used to see. We see fewer of them now because I think that, City Council has done what it could in order to be able to control those situations within the confines of what is constitutionally available to us. There's a very good video online at the Wheat Ridge website that explains about how a lot of these regulations that people might want to put in place actually don't work because they're not constitutionally acceptable. And I also would like to repeat that we do have a homeless coordinator. I think that Wheat Ridge is actually doing pretty well, and in terms of being able to try to assist those who want to be assisted. We do still have the issue of people who don't want to be assisted, that like their lifestyle that they have, and who are creating problems for citizens, especially those who live along the Greenbelt and other spaces. However, there we have to turn to the police department, and I think the police department has done a good, humane job of doing whatever it can to enforce that. And I would just continue to support their efforts, as well as the homeless, Jefferson County Homeless Navigator.
Thank you. Janice?
Thank you. I'm sorry. I know you informed me I'd be next, but it surprised me. So, like what has already been said, we have made some really major steps towards addressing the issue of homelessness in Wheat Ridge. The hiring of the homeless navigator in conjunction with the other municipalities around us to work with also the county navigator is a big piece. Another piece is that those navigators are working with Heading Home to identify gaps of service in our area and in our county. And one of the things that they've identified is that we need navigation centers. These would be centers that would have day services, short-term housing, and counseling, mental health counseling, and drug use counseling. These navigation centers are going to be important, but they're also going to be expensive. So I think one of the things that we need to do as a council is find ways to financially support these types of activities throughout our county, because this is not just an issue for just Wheat Ridge, it's an issue throughout the entire Denver metro area. And working with partners is going to be the way that we get that addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott, you're next.
Thank you. As the number of homeless has increased, Wheat Ridge has seen more trash in public areas. I spent last Saturday morning with my family and neighboring community members volunteering to pick up trash throughout Prospect Park for the National Park Cleanup Day, organized by Jefferson County Open Space. We found a lot of evidence of homeless persons using the Periphery Corridor. To address this issue, we need assistance from many sectors. The city has a homeless navigator. The position shared by Wheat Ridge, Golden, and Edgewater, and is contributing financially to nonprofits and agencies that assist with homelessness, mental health, addiction handling services. As a landscape architect, I just completed a 150-unit affordable housing project in Colorado Springs that will focus on housing homeless families, homeless individuals, and veterans. It will also provide health services such as case management, healthcare, support groups, substance abuse recovery groups, job skills training, recreational socialization opportunities, and personal finance management budgeting. Wheat Ridge needs to continue to support work towards legislative efforts and participate with our neighboring communities to address issues, including providing permanent housing to people experiencing homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you. Leah?
Thank you. As has already been stated, the city of Wheat Ridge has done a phenomenal job at addressing homelessness. We've done everything from addressing it from a community standpoint in hiring a homelessness navigator, and also from a policing standpoint to address public safety and criminal behavior. And that's just as of recently. There has also been discussion around hiring a housing navigator to help with the homelessness navigator. And ultimately what it comes down to is the basic necessities and having a roof over these folks' head. So we have noticed in Denver and the metro area and Colorado that we have a housing crisis, an affordable housing crisis at that. So really, and that's why many of us have supported projects that have increased the supply of homes, and we're going to continue to see that development, because as much as we would love to stay within the confines of Wheat Ridge, we are butted up against one of the fastest growing metro areas in the country. As far as some of the issues that arise from those experiencing homelessness, we have had community cleanups through local works. I myself and some of the other council members have also hosted neighborhood cleanups. We are in touch with families through the school, and we try to support existing organizations like the Family Tree and Jeffco Action Center. And so I want to continue to see those efforts and really focus on the source of the problem and not just putting the Band-Aid on the symptoms. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Homelessness is at least a two-pronged problem. It's the issues that occur around individuals experiencing homelessness, and it also has their impacts on our community. And we hear both sides. I'll tell you, as a public official, you hear both sides of that equation, that I don't want these folks in my community, and how can we help these people? So it's a two-edged sword, and it's a complicated issue. I think the other candidates that have spoken earlier on this have accurately recounted some of the things that the city's been doing with respect to the Navigator program, with potentially a housing navigator to help people get into housing. But another part of this is really to be able to develop affordable housing in our community. We've taken a number of issues along the way. Fruitdale School, the Town Center Apartments, Caesar Square Apartments, and Avi Apartments are all projects that have happened over the last several years and quite recently that provide housing in the 20, 30, 40, up to 80 or 120 AMI. At 80% AMI, those are our teachers and firefighters. So these are people that live in our community. We need to be able to help develop affordable housing so that everyone has an opportunity to live close to where they work in our community. The other aspect that I think is really important is to be able to communicate the activities that council is doing and the city is doing in order to communicate back to our citizens. We had a very open and robust meeting about 60 days ago where we talked about homelessness in our community. We're going to continue to have those types of meetings so that our community and citizens can be involved in the solution to these problems. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to remind you to please speak into the microphone pretty close, like that ice cream cone, with all our speakers and candidates. And for question 2, I'll give you the order of people that are going to be answering, just so you're not surprised. Ihor will be first, then Amanda, Scott, Leah, Bud, and Janice. So question number 2 is, the police department has a responsibility for protecting the public in a variety of situations. When carrying out duties as police officers, what changes, if any, would you recommend the City of Wheat Ridge and Police Department make to protect the community as well as the police? So it's Ihor.
Well, frankly, I have never heard anybody complain about our police department. And from what I've seen and listened to as far as the leadership of our police department, I am quite satisfied with the high level of professionalism and the, the outreach that they do, the sympathy that they have for the citizens, and how carefully they enforce the laws that they have to enforce. I mean, I have some good friends who are policemen, not here in large metropolitan cities like Chicago, and I know from their stories about some of the difficult situations that police run into. And I'm sure that our police department is no different than that. but I think it's doing an admirable job, and I would support their further work.
Amanda next.
Thank you. I just have been amazed with the Wheat Ridge Police Department in the entire time that I've lived here, but especially in the last year since we have a new chief. Chief Murtha has just really brought some amazing things to Wheat Ridge, in addition to the great department that we had with our former chief. And one of the things that I see, you know, he came in at a time, literally, I think that it was the first week of COVID and the shutdown. And with all of the social things that happened in 2020, he really took those head on and talked with people personally and really engaged with the community and really showed me an example. You know, Wheat Ridge is a relatively small town, and he brought some experience from the East Coast and a much larger city area of just compassion, and he has a different word for it, but it's pretty incredible, and I'm both impressed by how he deals with citizens, but also how he treats his police force. And of course, the force is more than the chief, but I have to say I've been so impressed in the last year, and I'm very, very proud to continue to support our police department. Thanks.
Scott?
I would like to ensure that the police have mental health and substance abuse training to deal with people. And then one of the other things from my personal experience is I cycled the Clear Creek quite regularly, and it's that there's some assumptions that there's not going to be any vehicles on that trail, and it's a little unnerving when I've encountered a City of Wheat Ridge police officer in their truck along that trail, because I don't want to get hit by a vehicle. What I would really like to see is, and it's very, very rare that happens, what I would like to see is I would like to see police patrols on electric bikes along that Clear Creek Trail. I think that would really help to improve the citizens seeing that regularly. I totally get why it would be impossible for that police officer to be pedaling up and down that trail constantly, but I see electric bikes all the time along that Clear Creek Trail, and so that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Leah?
Thank you. I would like to echo the sentiments of we have an incredible police department. I've worked closely with them on the Carnation Festival for several years, including on the parade, and I can honestly say that they are some of the most responsive and accessible members of our community that I've ever come across, and I've heard wonderful things, and they are always out in the community. You know, me personally, our police department showed up for my son's birthday during COVID. They did a little drive-by with their sirens on, and I know that they did that for many children within the community, and they never pass up the opportunity to stop by a lemonade stand, and I really appreciate that. My recommendation as far as what changes could be made, because of COVID, I don't think that this was necessarily possible with the changeover in chief, but I would really like for officers to have more of a presence within our schools, and I think that starting that relationship at a very young age, and kids seeing the officers in uniform and talking with them and getting to know what it is that they do on a daily basis will allow them to have a lot more respect for the law. My son wants to go on a ride along, but because he's only 9, he can't exactly do that. You have to be 18. But I really just am grateful for our police department, and since being on council, I've noticed that we seem to be ahead of the curve on a lot of policies implementing diversity, equity, and inclusion training, as well as mental health training and training on how to engage with the public in a positive manner. So I have all the respect and give all of the kudos to our police department and appreciate their hard work.
Thank you. I think we have, as others have indicated, an outstanding police department. Chief Brennan, the former chief, developed a very strong department, exceptional people doing exceptional service. We did a great hire, I believe, in bringing Chief Murtha onto our department. He is now advancing a program called neighborhood policing, which is really having our policemen in the field become acquainted with their neighbors and with the people that live in the community, so that the policeman that responds to your call is not a foreigner to you. It's someone that you've been able to interact with in a friendly and not necessarily a confrontive position. In terms of what we can do to enhance our police department, I think additional training, as Mr. Ohm mentioned, both in mental health and in the police services, and how to really enact this neighborhood policing concept. I believe we have to have competitive pay. I believe we've got to reach into our pockets and pay our public safety officials a living wage so that they can live in this community and be ready for us. I think we need to have opportunities for advancement in our police department, and we try to forward that. And I think we need to be active and aggressive in recruiting for our police department. I think there are a number of other opportunities with this neighborhood policing. I've been excited in perhaps forwarding and maybe starting with our city council members to do police ride-alongs, so that our public officials have a more intimate understanding of what really happens when you get in the police car and go out on a call. Thank you.
And Janice?
Thank you. Our police department for a long time has been ahead of the curve on a few things. We had body cams long before they were mandated. We had training long before it was mandated. We also have co-responders for mental health, and we also have a co-responder for the homeless navigators. So in those situations, we need to continue to support the police department to be able to have those co-responders with them and for those situations. And like Mayor Starker said, we need to continue to support more opportunities for them to work towards the community policing that they have been working on. And I think that we need to make sure that we are looking outside of the box, thinking outside the box for other training opportunities, and staying in front of the curve on those like we have been in the past.
We've got question 3. The order of will be Amanda, Ihor, Leah, Bud, Janice, and Scott. So the question is, what are your views/priorities on the redevelopment of the Lutheran Hospital campus? And Amanda will be our first responder.
Thank you. I think what's been really great about this process is that it's been a very public one. So what we've been doing in Wheat Ridge is there have been many meetings with everyone in the community about what their vision is. And I hope everyone has had a chance to come out to one of these meetings. But I know that we're still taking, as a city, comments, I believe, through the middle of October. And what I think is so incredible about this redevelopment is that it's a listening process. And I've just been very impressed because it's not about what City Council wants. It's not about what the houses directly around Lutheran want. It's about what do we see ourselves as a city, and a city has a rare opportunity like this to have, what is it, about 100 acres, 110 acres of land that we have the opportunity to paint a new canvas on. And so what I'm hoping, there are 3 or 4 options out there right now, which are really just ideas, again, sort of painting on a canvas. And I'm just fascinated with the fact that as this listening campaign has happened on the part of the city, the vision will be whatever Wheat Ridge wants it to be. And I'm excited for it to be a new center point of Wheat Ridge in some way, both with residences and possibly some sort of either community or business type of district within it. It's exciting. Thanks.
Got Ehor.
I've actually been a little disappointed in the process of re-envisioning the Lutheran campus. The city spent a lot of money to hire a consultant, but that consultant was really kind of focused on just certain issues, and there were other things that I think that they missed the ball on. For example, one of the things in the master plan that is that area is designated as a center for employment. One of the opportunities, I think, with that facility there that's not so old is that we missed an opportunity, or we're missing an opportunity to try to develop that as an additional medical center. The hospital is moving to the other side of Interstate 70. They have the reasons for doing so, and they're still close to Wheat Ridge. But, for example, did anybody look at the possibility of developing a children's hospital in the area? We had a lot of young families moving into the area, and the nearest children's hospital facility is quite far away. We have, I think, an opportunity here to continue the medical development of the medical center, provide high-paying, sustainable jobs for the future. I also think the city did not do a very good job of reaching out to the residents in the surrounding areas. Again, they spent a lot of money on the consultants, but they wouldn't spend additional money to send out postcards to people in the area. I talked to a number of residents around there who said they did not receive any communications from the city about this. And I think that kind of outreach should have been much more proactive. Thank you.
And Leah?
Thank you. I, for one, am extremely excited about this opportunity. It's only once in a lifetime that you can see a state-of-the-art hospital built in our community, as well as a redevelopment project to the scale of the Lutheran Legacy Campus. I would have to respectfully disagree with Mr. Figlis on the outreach and the public outreach on the city's behalf. Not only have we implemented What's Up Wheat Ridge that's online, that anyone can interact with 24/7, but we've also had robust public input meetings and several opportunities for the public to engage and be involved in this process. And I think that some of us have to put the onus on the public to be engaged and be informed and be involved. As far as priorities, I really want this process to be transparent, which I feel it has been. There's been talk of preservation of the Blue House and the chapel. If that is possible, I would like to support that. And I am really supportive of diverse housing and a new business commercial opportunity, as well as open space opportunities in this area. I think that we have a lot of folks wanting to move to Wheat Ridge and have been looking, and the housing market is crazy here. You know, it's very rare that a house is on the market for longer than 48 hours, and it's going way above asking price in some cases. So I think that the housing opportunities in this area would be very beneficial for Wheat Ridge and for attracting young families, whether it's a starter home or families that are really well established. And I think the Lutheran Legacy Campus can offer that for anyone. Thank you.
All right, Bud?
Thank you. I think the city has been ahead of the curve in terms of how to repurpose the Lutheran Historical Campus. The only permitted use on that, or zoned use on that campus right now, would be a hospital. And it's clear that they're going to move their new hospital out to Clear Creek Crossing. I think that's a great move. And so we engaged in a public process, because for this property to go on the market, 110 acres in the middle of our community, the citizens need to have an input and have a process that allows them to inform a potential buyer for that property what the community has already spoken about in that process. I think it's been a robust process. I want to correct a couple of things that were said. The study was funded by SCL Health. It was not funded by the city. So SCL Health stepped up and paid the freight to do this process. And I think it's great to have a children's hospital. Actually, Children's Hospital is located on the present campus now and will be at the new Clear Creek Crossing Hospital. as far as what happens with the property, I think it's got a great a number of multiple uses possible. I think some housing in different configurations. I think the most exciting plans show a buffering of housing abutting the existing R1 neighborhoods. I think there's an opportunity for a little bit more denser and some affordable housing on there. I think there's opportunity for park space. I think there are maybe a few employment opportunities, not significant and not significant retail, but I also am a proponent of perhaps building a new city hall and a municipal center there. We're about outgrown on this facility, and I think it might be a good opportunity for us to look at that. So I think there's a lot of things that can go on in the future. Thank you so much.
Janice?
Thank you. I would like to reiterate that we have had a robust process within the community, and it's not over. You can always go to whatsupwheatridge.org and check out all of the stuff that's been presented in the community meetings, and you also have opportunity to put in your opinions on that. What do I think can happen at the SEL Legacy Campus is I think that we have an opportunity to work towards blending with it's circular in size mostly, and we have an opportunity to blend where we can have single-family homes, and then as you get in, think of it as rings, you can get into more different housing densities like townhouses and apartments. I think it's important that we absolutely include workforce housing. In 2001, the Citizen Survey, 75% of our citizens that were surveyed agree that we should promote efforts to revitalize Wheat Ridge's housing areas. In the Let's Talk Wheat Ridge Residents Survey, they said providing more housing choices that address a range of housing needs is important to them. So workforce housing is something we need to be able to create a diverse and inclusive community. And workforce housing, just real fast, 60% of the average medium income, those are our bus drivers, our EMTs, our dental assistants. 80%, those are mail carriers or school teachers or social workers, and they absolutely deserve to live in the community that they serve.
Okay. And Scott?
Thank you. This came before us on the Planning Commission, and staff, we have some brilliant planning staff that...
Could you, excuse me, could
yes.
you move your
Sure.
more, I guess, closer to the microphone?
Okay. As a Planning Commission member, the planning staff presented some, some ideas. They really worked hard to make this project happen. It wasn't very straightforward, and luckily the city has some planning staff that has experience in this. I'm really excited about the project. I've seen some of the concepts. When I attended college, I had to take my first year was architecture, and the architects always said that, what we do is we create interior space. As a landscape architect, I create exterior space. The space, the opportunities that area holds, housing, single family, multifamily, townhomes, and then retail, could be some civic centers, like Mayor said previously, and I just look at that space. I can't tell you how many times a week I go through that area and I bike through that area. You really have to kind of walk it. I've walked up there to Crown Hill. I biked it when I go up to 32nd on my way out towards Golden. And it is a real jewel that is in the center of the city. And I can only imagine when you get to that top and you see the vistas of the mountains that this is such an incredible opportunity for the city. I'm all for diverse of all types of things going on with that project, and I look forward to seeing it. Thank you.
All right. We're on to question 4. The order will be Ihor, Amanda, Leah, Bud, Janice, and Scott. The question is, what are your priorities for spending available ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, federal dollars, and the proposed infrastructure funds? So, Ihor, you're first.
I'm afraid I'm not familiar with,
ARPA?
yes.
Okay.
So I really can't.
Amanda? Sorry, you're still writing the question. Give yourself a second. I sure can. No worries. What are your priorities for spending available ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, federal dollars, and the proposed infrastructure funds.
Okay, thank you. I think what's hard is that so many of these funds sometimes have caveats on them. When it comes to infrastructure, however, I would, what we are headed towards in a city for the next several years as we are dealing with a giant Wadsworth project. Oh,
Project a little bit.
okay. We are headed towards a big Wadsworth redevelopment project, and I'd like us to think about those streets and infrastructure around those areas, because we'll be heading into the Kipling corridors next, and I would like us to really, infrastructure is kind of like the plumbing in your house. It's not very pretty and you don't show guests your plumbing, but it's really important that it works well. So spending a little time on what's underneath the rug is extremely important. So when just listening to the news today on the infrastructure conversations that are happening at the Capitol, these are really important dollars, and we've got some things that need to be fixed. We've got some plumbing that needs to be fixed. Thank you.
We'll not forget that. All right, we've got Leah next.
Thank you. So the purpose of these federal dollars is to stimulate the economy after the devastation of the COVID-19 and to potentially prevent a recession. So as far as priority infrastructure projects, it really comes down to what's shovel ready. And what is really needed within the community. So in 2014, we did an environmental study assessment on Kipling. We have a design that has been proposed, and we've had public input meetings. So in addition to completing the Wadsworth project, which at this point isn't fully funded because of the enormous construction costs that have soared through the roof. But as far as projects that are underway and that could use this funding, I would say the Kipling and I-70 interchange would be a high priority. It's in my district. We have several issues in that surrounding community. And because the work has already been done, I would really like to see that move forward. As far as other infrastructure projects that I'd like to see move forward, we do have a lot of drainage issues, and I'd like to be able to address some of that within our communities and bring them out of the floodplain, because some of that could be a significant cost for residents, and through these hard times, it might be something that we could help our residents with. Thank you.
Bud?
Thank you. Exciting times to be able to have some additional funding to reach out into our communities. Some of the projects that I think we should spend that on, we've got a proposal to build 2 navigator sites that Councilwoman Hoppy spoke about. I think we should do that in our county and see how we can provide those services for citizens experiencing homelessness. I think we have the opportunity through the ARPA funds to do some backfill in salaries for our city workers and our public safety officials. We have, in terms of hard infrastructure, Wadsworth Boulevard Phase 2 has not yet been funded. We have, as Councilwoman Dozman said, the Kipling I-70 bridge has been identified as a priority. But not only that, the other bridges on what they call West I-70, Harlan Street, the Highway 58, and we're doing a rebuild on 32nd Avenue at I-70. Councilwoman Weaver spoke about storm drainage and storm sewer work, and we have Lena Gulch that requires some work. There's some work to do on Clear Creek, and in conjunction with the additional funding that the Mile High Flood District has been able to obtain, we have some opportunities to do some public safety work there. I also think we should be able to try to help invest in affordable housing, and this is affordable housing, not to build apartments for poor people. This is to build affordable housing that people can buy and start generating generational wealth. Thank you.
And we have Janice.
Thank you. Much like everybody else has said, the
Pardon me,
ice.
Is your microphone on? Because
Yes.
it's not,
Can you guys hear me over there? Because I
broadcasting.
can hear me.
you can hear you? Can
Yeah.
you hear her?
This may not be a good.
Sorry, it's just
Okay.
me then.
That's okay.
No.
Is this one better? Great. Much like what several other people have said about Wadsworth, that is phase 2 is an $8 million unfunded shovel-ready project that could, if we had the money, we could start running with tomorrow. The I-70 corridor and exchange would then be my my second priority. And then we have some work up at our TOD, our transportation site, transportation-oriented development site, the Wardward Road Station. We could definitely spend some money there. However, there are definitely smaller things within our community that need funding that would be really great if we could get the funding together to get those together. And one small example would be Wadsworth from 35th to 32nd does not have a continuous sidewalk. And because of elevation, because of the gulch there, and because of because it's all private property, we're looking at $1 million plus for a sidewalk just on that small piece. So if we have some additional funding, there are definitely some smaller areas in our community that that we could get patched up.
And Scott?
Thank you. I too would support the I-70 Kipling interchange. Can you hear me okay?
Well, I don't know, is your,
Can everybody hear me?
yeah,
Okay.
okay, good, yeah.
Thank you. And definitely areas where there's missing sidewalk. One of the areas I notice on my bike ride all the time is along 32nd, where there's missing a sidewalk from the the current hospital site going to the high school, and I encounter students that are either walking in the ditch, or they're walking in the bike lane, or maybe on in oncoming traffic. And so definitely sidewalks, completing those, those would be some of my top priorities. Thank you.
All right. It's time for your 1-minute closing statements. The order of speakers will be Amanda, Ehor, Janice, Scott, Bud, and Leah. And the league requests that you answer this question in your closing statement. Why should the citizens of Wheat Ridge vote for you? So Amanda, you may begin. We just have 1 minute for these guys.
All right, let's go. As your council person, I represent everyone in District 3. Those who own and rent, those who have children or none, those who live with many or live alone. Those needs are diverse and sometimes opposing. This is what Wheat Ridge has taught me about participatory democracy. Number 1, the process of public forum works. A proposal is an invitation to participate in the outcome, not a premeditated decision. Number 2, the discussion and disagreement is the process. This productive discomfort gets the best of all potential alternatives. Change is a constant. We can influence its direction if we acknowledge it. And lastly, compromise is a place where we can and do live in a community of diverse opinions together. It is these processes already happening in Wheat Ridge that makes us a resilient and vibrant community into the next 50 years. And that's why I'd like you to vote for me in the re-election. Thank you.
Ehor?
In general, I think that the Wheat Ridge City government knows what residents want, but do not always take it into account when making decisions. I think that the communication with the residents and to understand their wishes and their needs is most important for a city council person. That's why I think that having regularly scheduled district meetings, maybe once every Monday, it should be one of the responsibilities. Once a month on the first Monday should be one of the responsibilities of a city council person. I will represent the wishes of the people at city council and will work to keep them informed and satisfied that our quality of life is not diminished. I am committed to working on behalf of the people and only the people, and I will not accept any support from any special interests. I look forward to working with all residents for a better Wheat Ridge, and I ask you to vote for me for city council. Thank you.
All right. Janice?
Thank you. I enjoy working to find a consensus and to create good policy for our community, one that works for our community as a whole, but also with a lens towards my district, District 1. I like to work towards a diverse and inclusive community that's economically strong, safe, and offers opportunities for all members in our community to thrive. And I will continue to do that. I feel as though I've been doing that, and I will continue to do that for the next 4 years. And I appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, Scott?
I appreciate everyone who attended and those who watched on Channel 8. Wheat Ridge is our community that is connected not just by the physical environment, by the choices we make together. We need to continue to move Wheat Ridge forward and build a resilient, inclusive community while still preserving its character. I will be an advocate who will listen closely to your ideas. I would love to earn your vote. Please visit my website, scottohm4dist2.org. That's 4 is the number 4 for information on future events to connect with me. Thank you.
All right. Bud?
Thank you. I want to thank the League for putting on this forum tonight and thank the Chamber for their participation in it and thank all of the candidates who came tonight. And it's not easy running for office. It may not be as hard as actually being in office. There's a lot of demands on your time, but I've got to tell you that this has been the most rewarding job that I've ever had. And I started working early selling the greeting cards when I was a kid, and I've never had as many rewards as I have working for this city. I am really honored to be your mayor. I'm honored to be running again as your mayor, and I really would appreciate your vote. Thank you so much.
And Leah?
Thank you. It has been an honor and a privilege serving the Wheat Ridge community for not only the last 4 years, but for the majority of my life. I've chosen to live here and I've chosen to raise my family here because it is such a wonderful place to live, play, and work. I have learned that what you get out of a community is directly reflected in what you put into it. I have met so many wonderful people and been a part of so many wonderful organizations that really gives me hope in humanity, and I really want to push forward. I've addressed issues head on, I listen to residents, and I try to reach a consensus and a compromise when necessary, and I would really be honored to serve this community for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you all candidates. I've learned more about Wheat Ridge than I ever thought I'd know, and it's been very interesting listening to you all. Karen Connor will now begin the presentation of the state ballot issues.
Actually, it's a very short presentation. But at first, I too would like to thank all the candidates for taking the time to show up for the forum this afternoon. It's been very enlightening and very interesting, and thank you very much. As said, my name is Karen Connor, and I'm a member of the Jefferson County League of Women Voters, and we have been asked to include a very brief overview of the 3 statewide ballot issues that will appear on the November ballot. You will be asked to vote on 1 amendment to the Colorado Constitution and 2 propositions to the Colorado statutes. Amendment 78 is titled Legislative Authority for Spending State Money. Amendment 78 is an initiated amendment to the Colorado Constitution and as a result needs 55% of the vote in order to pass. This measure would require custodial money, mainly federal funds, given to the state from outside of Colorado to be appropriated by the General Assembly instead of the executive branch. Proposition 119 is titled Learning Enrichment and Academic Progress Program. This proposition is also an initiated amendment to the Colorado Revised Statutes, which raises the tax rate of on marijuana sales by 5%, and it would divert school trust land revenue to raise an estimated $137,600,000. These funds would be applied to the programs outside of public schools for after-school enrichment and support for children. Proposition 120, which is titled Property Tax Assessment, Rate Reduction, and Voter-Approved Revenue Change. These are long titles. Proposition 120 proposes amending the Colorado statutes to 1, lower the property tax assessment rate for non-residential property from 29% to 26.4%. 2, it would lower the property tax assessment rate for residential properties from 7.1% to 6.5%. If you want additional, this is brief. If you want additional information about these ballot issues, I would refer you to www.vote411.org website and or the Blue Book which you should have received in the mail. And this is where you can see the pros and cons for each ballot issue, as well as much more additional information. So I would refer you to those 2 sites to get additional information. Thank you. The website is www.411.org. Vote411.org. Sorry, it's vote411.org. That has a lot of good information, as well as the Blue Book. The website is not in the Blue Book. That is an additional website. It is a website put out by the League. It's www.vote411.org. It's a non-partisan website. There's a lot of good information on there, and you'll see the pros and the cons. You'll see the entire ballot issue listed, as you would in the Blue Book.
All right. Election Day is November 2nd. All active voters will be mailed a ballot between October 8th and October 15th. If you choose to mail your ballot, be sure it's mailed early enough to ensure that it arrives by the deadline on Tuesday, November 2nd. For more drop-off box locations, as well as the nearest polling center, go online to jeffco.us/elections. And again, for candidate and ballot information, please consider using vote411.org, the online voter's guide, which will be available starting on October 8th. This guide provides a side-by-side comparison of the candidates for all the Colorado races. So you put your name in, your zip code, and it pops up the people that you can vote for, as well as the state ballot issues. So, and that'll be available October 8th. For your voting ease, there will be 36 ballot drop-off box locations in Jeffco. For your convenience, one of the outside ballot drop-off boxes is right out front. I passed it coming into the parking lot. Right in front, big and can't miss it. If you choose to mail your ballot, be sure it's mailed early enough to get there by 7 p.m. Tuesday, November 2nd. If you need to update your registration, register to vote, get a replacement ballot, vote in person, vote on ADA accessible equipment, or drop off your ballot. There'll be 8 voter service and polling centers opening on October 25th, Election Day to Election Day, including Saturday, October 30th. So if you want to go in person, that's when you go in. They open on the 25th and close on the 2nd. So they make it pretty easy for you to vote, mail or walking in there. Please consider signing up to track your ballot from when it's mailed to you, when Jeffco clerk and recorder receives it from you. You can sign up to track your ballot at jeffco.ballottracks.net. And I did that. It's really interesting because it pops up right away. Sent from where it was sent from, what the status is, and you can make sure that your ballot's being counted. If you need to find out where the polling centers are, that's also at jeffco.us/elections. Or I have a phone number for you if you want to jot it down. 303-271-8111. And for candidate and ballot information, yet again, vote411.org. It'll be available, gosh, in 1 week, October 8th. It's coming right up. This easy-to-use guide provides a side-by-side candidate comparison of all the races that will appear on your ballot, along with the pro and con arguments of the statewide and any local ballot issues. I don't know if you have Wheat Ridge, do you have any ballot issues locally? Do you know? Okay.
We don't have any this year.
All right. Thanks for being here. Got a lot of good information, and it's really nice to meet all the candidates. And please don't forget to vote. It does matter. Every vote does. Thank you.